drive later on.
You may remember back in November we spoke to 22-year-old Henry Maybury, who wrote a song about the dangers of alcohol. That's after his brother died after years of addiction.
We've invited him back because what wasn't obvious when we spoke to him is that Henry suffers from a debilitating illness, junior idiopathic arthritis, and his new single, You're Beautiful, was written when he was diagnosed as a teenager. Let's hear a bit of it now.
I see the light and I'm falling. I press redial and I'm calling. I don't know where I'm going, but I keep walking. I keep walking. I don't know where I'm heading. Some people say it's heaven, but I'm not that sure. I said I'm not sure, but I open the door, 'cause you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Well, as we said, Henry is back, and so is his mum, Sally. Hello to both of you.
Lovely to see you again.
Sally, like you did last time, Sally says, please talk to Henry the most, because I'm very nervous being on the radio. But Sally, it's lovely to have you back with us as well.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the programme. Henry, so you first fell ill with this arthritis at the age of about 14. Tell us how you realised something was wrong.
Well, I was at a Christmas party, and me and a couple of mates were in the kitchen kicking a football around, as you do. And I got a knock in the ankle, and suddenly I noticed, like, the next day it was like really like swollen. Anyway, I then went away to Belgium to a mate's house for New Year's Eve and stuff like that for about 4 or 5 days. Came back, and after coming back, suddenly I then woke up the next day with like a swollen knee, pain in my hip, pain in my shoulder, lower back, ankles, heels. And I was like, well, you know, what's going on? And my knee was like the size of a rugby ball. It was absolutely massive. Like, you know, it was kind of like a party trick. I could poke it and suddenly fluid would come out the other side. You know, it was like a sponge. Mum came in and I was just like, you know, Mum, I'm in so much pain. We called a friend of ours who is a knee specialist, and he said, look, you got to get him in straight away because we think there might be a tumour in his knee. And if that goes, then, well, I don't
We're in
want
real
to think
trouble,
about it. I don't know what to think about. But yeah, he said, look, get him in. So that morning at about 7 a.m, something like that.
We went about 8 o'clock in the morning over to Oswald Street, and where we met the consultant. And you had loads of blood tests, and by 1:30 he was on the operating table being cut into.
Yeah.
Just to see what was going on. So, you know.
Out of almost nowhere for you as well,
yeah.
Sally. So that must have been terrifying.
It was awful not knowing what was happening, obviously, and he was in so much pain, and yeah, it was horrible.
And Sally, I suppose everybody would ask the sort of ignorant question of arthritis is something that affects people at the other age of life. Here's my how on earth has my 14-year-old son got this?
I had no idea. I mean, at that stage, I hadn't got any idea, and it wasn't until later in the day, after they'd done some tests, that they came in and sort of said, oh, JIA, and I sort of said, what's that? You know, no idea at all. And then it was spelt out to me, junior idiopathic arthritis. And then from then on, you started having steroid injections and things. But as you were saying, I had no idea that kids could get it. And now, subsequently, I found out other people who have got youngsters who've had it or got it. And even though it's a junior thing, it's gone. It can carry on. It develops.
How's it affected you then since that one knock? How's it affected you day to day?
Massively, really. I mean, it affected me today on the train. Yeah, I mean, I always have to, when you sort of, you know, book your train online and stuff, I have to sometimes make sure if I have to change somewhere that I've got enough time, especially going through the tube and stuff. So today I had to book my tickets. I was down in Bognor Regis for the weekend, and I booked my return ticket back, and there wasn't enough time for me to get on make the connection, so I had to
just walking from sort of platforms or stations.
My knee at the moment is actually quite swollen. I'm actually going to see my specialist in a few weeks because it's causing me quite a lot of pain, and I had my guitar with me, and it's just because the reason why I actually took that is because it's easier to put on my back and stuff like a rucksack. So,
and I suppose there's that issue as well. If you don't have crutches, you're not in a wheelchair, nothing looks wrong with you. And let's say you're on a long journey, you're on a 3 or 4 hour journey on a train. And how does somebody who's able-bodied respond when you say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I sit down?"
Well, that's the thing. When it's rammed, I've had so many occasions where I'm kind of sat there and someone will come over and they'll be like, oh, in their 60s, 70s, whatever. And I have on occasions got up. There was one occasion where I was going up to Glasgow for something, and I actually moved. I stood up for 2 hours.
Oh, you're joking.
But because it was rammed. But I've got to the point now where I actually think, you know what? I'm not moving, because otherwise I wake up the next morning and I'm in agony.
Yeah. Huge,
Yeah, so, but we do have sometimes occasions where, we have had occasions, for example, the taxi driver actually in London, you can...
Well, yes, it was a good and a baddie, wasn't it? Because we had it was my brother's birthday, and we'd gone down there for dinner, and we were just round the corner from where we were supposed to be going, and we were going to walk round there, but Henry was in a lot of pain. So there was a taxi rang, went up to the taxi, asked if we could have a taxi to wherever it was we were going, round the corner, road. And the taxi driver said, oh, you can walk round. And we said, well, I said, no, actually, honestly, if you could just take us round there, I know we could walk.
Brilliant.
But if you could. And he went, no. So I walked to the taxi behind and said, look, could you please take us round the corner? My son's got a problem with his legs. Could you take us round? And he said, well, why won't the taxi driver in front? And he got out and he went and walked up to the taxi driver and really had a go at him.
Fair play to him.
And then he took us round. It was a very expensive taxi drive.
But there are on occasions where, for example, we've just gone to watch Wicked the musical, and we went for a few drinks in Soho in London. And I went up to this Smart Bar nightclub, and I was wearing my massive sports trainers, right?
For comfort.
Yeah, exactly. And I approached and I was saying to my brother and mum, I was like, we're not going to get in, because look, and I feel a massive party pooper. I'm not going to lie, approach and think, we're going to have to go home early. Anyway, we approached, and the bouncer straight away said, sorry, you're not allowed in, sorry, because of your shoes. And my brother took him to one side. I said, look, he's actually got arthritic problem. Is there any way you can let him in? He's been really suffering all day, and he doesn't want to, because he'll get really down about it, and et cetera, et cetera. And the guy just turned around and said, you know what, guys, go in, sit at the bar, and just have fun.
Have a good time.
And this was into a really smart, bar nightclub where footballers go to and stuff. And I was there walking with these massive sport trainers, everyone sort of looking and then just going, hold on a second, that's not quite right. But yeah, it was.
There's a few good Samaritans out there, but and I suppose you appreciate as well that it's with that that hidden disability. You have to explain yourself a lot, and then you feel that guilt from having to explain yourself because people look at you and think, well, really?
Yeah, you do feel.
Well, you wouldn't, to begin with, you wouldn't actually talk about it. You would say, look, just don't make a fuss. Don't make a fuss. We'll walk around the corner. We won't go in the taxi. We'll just walk, and then you'd be limping and in pain.
You're always so upbeat. That's what you're amazing, Henry. What's your prognosis going to be like? Are you going to have to be on drugs for the rest of your life?
Yeah, well, I'm going back to see a specialist to see if I can go on. Unfortunately, the drugs that I'm on at the moment, to see if I can go on stronger stuff. But just to try and help me get through. But another example, like when we met Simon Weston, who is in the video at the moment, in the video,
in the song video.
Yeah, You're Beautiful. He actually said, just never judge a book by its cover, because you never know what someone's going through. And I just started chatting to him about that, because I said, no, that is so.
Yes.
It's so true.
Whereas with him, you can see what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he says, he'll go out into public. And for example, when we were at the Falcons Moor in Cardiff, someone came over and just went, oh, you're Simon Weston, aren't you? Nice to meet you. And he said the problem is I have going out in public is that he is so recognisable. But while I'm on here, I just want to say a massive thank you to John Chalice and Simon Weston for being in the video and being so supportive, as well as Mum, happy birthday.
Yeah,
there you go. I had to get that out there while I'm on here.
I see why you've come on now, Sally. Right. It's lovely to have you on again.
Double win, Mother's Day on Sunday too. Nice one.
I know.
Thank you.
Henry Maybury, and the song is You're Beautiful, and Mum Sally, happy birthday. Thanks for coming on. And we're not here tomorrow, Cheltenham Festival.